So Proverbs 1 through 13 was done in my Bible study journal, and I figured that it'd be good to do some on my iPad because we can see the word together and write about it. And whatever notes I take on the side, you can just write it in your journal. And if you're curious about this digital journaling Bible, I have a video on it, and then I'll put it up here somewhere so you can check it out after this video if you want. So 14, a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. And we talked about this before with having peace in your home. I believe we did. I can't remember which Proverbs it was, but I remember one of them was talking about having peace in your home. And this is what this reminds me of. Having peace at home. Home is supposed to be your safe spot, right? It's supposed to be where you can unwind, and it's a safe zone. And it says that a wise woman builds her house, so building up the people in her home, while a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. That's the key here. We all have the power to build or destroy, and that often comes with our words. The Bible talks about our words being something that can empower others or it can hurt others. So it's really important to build up the people in your home. Even if you live with difficult people, you can live with a difficult person and also bring life into their life and not strife. So we have the power to build or destroy. Whoever walks uprightly fears the Lord, but the one who is devious in his ways despises him. The mouth of the fool brings a rod to his back, but the lips of a wise protect him. We've learned so many times that wisdom and fearing God go hand in hand, and devious in his ways also linked to the mouth, which is what we were just talking about. The things that you say have a lot of power to either edify or to destroy. And so that's what this is talking about here. And I think verse 4 is talking about working hard, which is another thing that's repeated several times in Proverbs. So remember, if something's repeated in the Bible several times, it's something that we should remember and try to stick to. It's especially important during this time where it's a new year. You can set new goals, and working hard towards those goals is really important. And like I always mention, everything in balance, but I think God, stresses the importance of working hard to reach goals. A false witness breathes out lies. Lying comes naturally to them. And the Bible warns us against, associating with people who don't have this knowledge. And like I've mentioned before, it's okay to be friends with people who are not Christians, but I think it's important to evaluate who you spend a lot of your time with, because sometimes whoever you spend a lot of time with will influence you, whether you realize it or not. It can influence your behavior. So if you're spending a ton of time with people who don't make the best decisions, that can influence you as well. Of course, we do need to spend time with non-believers, just as Jesus did, in order to share our faith with them and for them to come to know God. But like I mentioned, just be careful, and be careful that, most importantly, they're not influencing you in your decisions. I feel like, each heart knows its own bitterness. We all go through things that, there's things that I go through that nobody else knows. There's things that you go through that nobody else knows. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger cannot share its joy. So I think it's one and the same, where, you don't know the sadness, but you also don't know the joy of someone's heart either fully. But the really cool thing is that God does. And something that I've been thinking of lately is sometimes I think things that are not always the best of myself and of other people. But God knows my intentions, and he knows my heart. And I feel like studying Proverbs has brought that to my knowledge even more. So like I already knew that, but I don't know, for some reason studying the book of Proverbs has brought that to my mind. And so I know what I'm saying right now is not completely related to this, but one thing that I want to change is just my intentions and my desires, the things that I think about. Because yes, nobody else knows what it is, but God knows. And that's enough for me to want to change and be better. There's a way that seems right, but in the end, its way is of death. And sometimes we can think that, we know what's right, or we are thinking that this momentary, whatever it is, sin is right? It seems right. That's what the Bible says. But unfortunately, something that seems right can be very, very wrong. That's the trouble with sin. It seems right in the moment, but then afterwards you have to deal with the repercussions of that sin. This is reminding me of the other verse talking about bitterness in the heart. So we don't know what someone is going through, and we don't know, it says even in laughter, the heart may ache. So someone could seem okay on the outside, but they're really hurting on the inside. And I think that's the great thing about, believing in God and following the ways of Jesus, because if we're just kind to everyone, you never know what someone's going through and how that act of kindness can help them out. And here's just talking about the backslider. So the backslider gets what his ways deserve, but a good person will be rewarded for his. And I've seen where people, even on YouTube, I would follow, I followed a few people who were Christians, and then, I don't know, maybe they went through a really hard time, and now they no longer, believe, or they're not really sure, and they're questioning. And, well, that makes me really sad, but also, it makes me think, I really hope that person returns to God. It's something that I continuously hope and pray for someone. But the word says the backslider gets what his ways deserve. And God says so many times he doesn't want us to be hot and cold. Lukewarm, I'm sorry. He wants us to either be hot or cold. God doesn't want us to be lukewarm for him. I feel like this entire section is talking about, being simple and rushing into something, quick-tempered. Let's see. So it says simple, giving thought. If you give thought to something, you're not rushing into it. Cautious. Again, you're not rushing into something if you're cautious. But the fool proceeds with reckless confidence. Quick-tempered. Again, acting fast. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. So sometimes if you have a huge decision to make, or, even if you're in the middle of a temptation, maybe you're being tempted to sin, stop and think about it before you do anything. Even if you have a really big decision to make, stop and think about it. There's no rush, really. You don't have to rush through things. Just slow down and think about what you want to do before you, proceed with reckless confidence. It says that you are a fool if you do that. It says the poor are despised, but then verse 21, whoever despises his neighbor sins. And your neighbor doesn't have to necessarily be like your physical neighbor, but it's just talking about the people around us, the people that you know. So be kind to all, not only people who can do something for you, but to everyone. Don't just be kind for your own personal benefit, but be kind to those who are difficult to be kind to. Fear and anger both can control our actions, right? And so if you fear the Lord, it says that you'll have a place of refuge. So, even if things are going wrong, you have a safe place. It says the fear of the Lord is the fountain of life, so that one may turn from the snares of death. Also, on the other hand, whoever is slow to anger is of great understanding. So I don't know, in my mind, I guess, maybe I'm not explaining myself right, but when I think of these scriptures, I think of fear of God will help me throughout life. Not only, is it my security, but it will also help me gain wisdom in order to, control my feelings such as anger. So I kind of made a little flow chart here. The fear of the Lord, it helps me to control my behavior, which helps me gain wisdom, which then helps me to turn away from sin. A tranquil heart gives life to the body, but envy is rottenness in the bones. How true. It is so easy to look at someone else's life and, whether you realize it or not, be jealous of what they have instead of be happy for them. But being envious of someone else and what they have, it's just rottenness in the bones. It only destroys you on the inside. It doesn't, do anything but give you a lack of peace. That person's living their life happy, but you are, it says rottenness in the bones. Be happy for others. Being jealous or envious of what someone else has is belittling what God has for you. And then the rest of the chapter, again, talks about being wise versus righteous, which we've talked about many times. But it's really important to continue reading and thinking about and turning it over in your mind. So that's it for Proverbs 14. I hope that this setup was okay. But let me know what you learned. I am posting every single day in the month of January 2021 at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I normally post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.